There are few experiences so deeply embedded in the human psyche as the nightmare of the chase. It is a primal terror, a script written into our very DNA. We find ourselves in a familiar yet distorted landscape, a darkened street from our childhood, an endless corridor, or a labyrinth forest. And then we became aware of it, the presence behind us. We do not need to see it to know what it is. It is the beast, the wolf, the bear, the great cat, or some monstrous serpent. Our heart begins to pound, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the night. Our legs feel heavy as if moving through water and we begin to run. We run with the desperate certainty that to be caught is to be annihilated. We awaken in a state of panic, sweat soaked and breathless, the phantom threat still lingering in the quiet of our room. In the clear light of day, we have rationalized the experience. It was merely a product of stress, a reflection of some daytime anxiety, a meaningless discharge of psychic tension. We tell ourselves it was just a dream. But to the psychologist,
Labi
and
äsken.
especially to the student of the deep
Mutta
psych,
sitä alkaa
there
tsunakin.
is no such thing as just
Viidet.
a dream. These nocturnal dramas are not random firings of a resting brain. They are carefully constructed messages, letters sent from the deepest, most ancient part of
Pakkuset
ourselves.
vaikka nauki.
The dream of being chased by an animal is perhaps one of the most urgent and universal of these messages. It is not sign of pathology, but a profound and necessary call to adventure. It is an invitation issued from the unconscious to turn and face the very thing we have spent our lives running from. Today, we will answer that call. We will journey into that dark forest and ask not why the animal chases us, but what it is, and what wisdom it brings when we finally find the courage to stop running. Before we can understand the chasing beast, we must first understand what the animal represents in the landscape of the human soul. Animals are not merely creatures with whom we share the planet. They are integral parts of our own existence deeply ingrained within the unconscious. As the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung frequently remarked, animals embody the divine aspect of the human psyche. They are living symbols of a form of life that is still in touch with what we call absolute knowledge. Jung writes, we forget that the animal is the most pious thing that exists, the one thing besides plant that really fulfills its destiny, the will of God. We are of the devil because we are always deviating,
Labi äsken.
always living something of our own.
Mutta sitä alkaa
Animals live
tsunakin.
exactly as they were
Viidet.
meant to live. The animal lives in a state of perfect harmony with its nature. It does not question its purpose. The lion does not suffer from a crisis of confidence before it hunts.
Pakkuset vaikka nauki.
The birds does not wrestle with existential dread before it builds its nest. It simply is. This is the nature of instinct, and when an animal appears in our unconscious, it typically symbolizes our own instinct, not merely the biological drives for survival and procreation, but the deeper archetypal patterns that guide our psychic life. So, if the animal is a symbol of our own sacred, God given nature, why does it appear in our dreams as a terrifying monster? Why does our own instinct chases us with the intent to destroy? The answer lies in the profound split that has occurred modern consciousness. We have built a world of reason, of logic, of concrete and steel. We have elevated the conscious ego to the position of an absolute monarch, and in doing so, we have exiled the animal kingdom of our own soul. We have forgotten, as the 3rd century Christian scholar Origen wrote, that we are each another little world, an ark containing herds of cattle, flocks of sheep, and all the birds of air within us. We have come to fear our own instincts. We suppress our anger, we
Labi
rationalize our
äsken.
passions, we medicate our
Mutta sitä alkaa
sorrows, we treat
tsunakin.
the raw, untamed
Viidet.
energy of our inner animal as something primitive, dangerous, and shameful. But what is repressed does not disappear. It is pushed down into the darkness
Pakkuset
of the
vaikka nauki.
unconscious, where it gathers strength, growing wilder and more monstrous with each passing year of neglect. The dream of being chased by an animal is the psyche's desperate attempt to correct this imbalance. The instinct that should be our guide has become our predator because we have made it so. The animal is not chasing us to destroy us, it is chasing us to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be brought back into the kingdom of our unconscious life. To go deeper, we must confront one of the Jung's most crucial and difficult concepts, the shadow. The shadow is the dark brother, the unlived and unrecognized part of our personality. It contains everything within ourselves that we are unwilling to acknowledge. Our hidden resentments, our secret desires, our repressed aggression, our shame, and our vulnerabilities. It is everything we have decided is not me, and because we refuse to see it ourselves, we project it onto the world. We see the evil, the greed, and the cruelty in others, never suspecting that we are merely looking at a reflection of our own disowned nature. The chasing animal is very often a theriomorphic symbol, an animal form representation of our own shadow.
Labi,
The
jāskaidrs.
specific animal that appears is
Tas
of the
tā kā
utmost
čurāķi.
importance,
Vīrietis.
for it to reveal the specific quality of the instinct we have repressed. Consider the wolf. The wolf is a symbol of raw, predatory hunger. It can represent our own
Takus,
acknowledged
genau.
ambition, our untamed sexuality, or our capacity for ruthless aggression. When a person who sees themselves as gentle, kind, and accommodating dreams of being chased by a ravenous wolf, it is often a message that a powerful, hungry part of their nature has been starved. This inner wolf, denied its proper place, now threatens to devour the conscious personality. In Norse mythology, the great wolf Fenrir, a son of the trickster Loki, was bound by the gods out of fear of his growing power. But his binding only ensured his rage would fester, until at Ragnarok, the end of the world, he breaks his chains and devours Odin, the Allfather himself. This is the myth of the repressed shadow instinct returning with world-ending force. Or consider the serpent. The serpent, as we have explored, is one of the most ancient and paradoxical symbols. As a cold-blooded animal, it represents an extremely archaic layer of our psyche, a psychology that predates the warm-blooded heart. It is the cold, calculating, and sometimes venomous aspect of our nature. When we dream of being chased by a great snake, it often points to a confrontation with a cold, hard truth we have been
Labi,
avoiding,
jāskaidrs.
or a part of ourselves
Tas
that is
tā kā
capable of a
čurāķis.
detachment so profound it feels alien and terrifying. The Gnostics understand this paradox. For them, the serpent in the Garden of Eden was not a tempter, but a messenger of a
Takus,
higher god,
vienalga.
sent to awaken Adam and Eve from the blissful ignorance in which the lesser creator god, the demiurge, had imprisoned them. The serpent offers the fruit of knowledge, of consciousness. To be chased by the serpent, then, is to be pursued by the terrifying burden of a higher consciousness you are refusing to accept. Each animal carries its own shadow meaning. To be pursued by a bear might point to a repressed, untamed power or a suffocating possessive rage, particularly the maternal rage of a she-bear protecting her cubs. To be chased by a great lion might be to flee from our own legal power, our own capacity for leadership and dominance, which our conscious ego feels is too arrogant or dangerous to claim. The animal reflects the specific energy we have cast into the outer darkness of our psyche. It is our own power, our own hunger, our own wisdom, which because we have disowned it has turned against us. So, we find ourselves in the dream running from a beast that is in fact a vital part of our own soul. We are running from ourselves, and here we arrive at the central, transformative insight of this entire psychological drama. It is an idea so simple and yet so
Labi,
profound that
jāskaidrs.
it holds the power to end the
Tu
nightmare.
tas tā kā
In her
čurāķi.
many years of studying fairy tales and dreams, the Jungian analysis, Mary Louise von Franz, observed one unfailing rule. Jung himself wrote of it in many forms, but the essence
Takus,
is this:
vienalga.
the unconscious is not a fixed, rigid entity. It is a mirror. Jung writes, "We know that the mass of the unconscious is not rigid. It reflects the face we turn towards it. Hostility lends it a threatening aspect, friendliness softens its features. Read those words again. Hostility lends it a threatening aspect. The animal is monstrous because we see it as a monster. It is chasing us because we are running from it. Our fear is the very thing that gives it terrifying power. We are projecting our own hostility and terror onto this instinctual energy, and it's reflecting that projection back at us in the form of a predator. Imagine encountering a wild dog in a narrow alley. If your first reaction is to scream, to show fear, to turn and run, you will almost certainly trigger its prey drive. You have cast yourself in the role of prey, and it will instinctively play its part as a predator. But if you were stand your ground, to remain calm, to make yourself appear non-threatening, to speak in a low voice, you might change the entire dynamic. The dog, mirroring your lack of hostility, might calm down. Its aggression
Labi,
dissolving
jāskaidro.
because it is no longer being
Nu, tā
fed by your
stāv kā
fear.
čurā, ķipa.
This is
Vīrietis.
precisely the dynamic at play in the dream. I recall a patient of Jung's, a man who for years was tormented by a recurring dream in which a terrifying shadowy figure
Paklusēt
chased
vajag
him through the
vienalga.
streets of his city. Night after night, he would run until he woke up. After discussing this dynamic, Jung advised him to try something radical. He told him that the next time he had a dream, he must, with all the conscious will he could muster, stop running and turn to face the figure. For weeks, the dream repeated, and each time, the force of habit and fear was too strong. But one night, he succeeded. In the dream, he skidded to a halt, turned, and shouted at the looming shadow, "Who are you? What do you want?" And at that moment, the terrifying figure transformed into a friend he had not seen in years, who was carrying a message he desperately needed to hear. This is the heroic task the dream demands of us. It is not to run faster or find a better hiding place. It is to stop. It is to turn around. It is to face the beast. What happens when you turn to face the animal? This is where the dream moves from a story of terror to a story of initiation. To face the beast is to begin the process of integrating its energy into our conscious lives. This is a theme that runs through countless myths and fairy tales. The hero
Labi,
does not always
jāskaidro.
slay the dragon.
Nu, tā stāv
Sometimes
kā
he must
čurā,
tame
ķipa.
it, or ride it,
Vīrietis.
or learn from it. In doing so, he claims its power as his own. The man who turns to face the wolf in his dream is not devoured. He is initiated into his own strength,
Paklusēt vajag
his
vienalga.
own healthy aggression, his own hunger for life. The woman who ceases to flee from the serpent is not poisoned. She is gifted its secret wisdom, its connection to the earth, its capacity for transformation and rebirth. The animal once faced ceases to be a monster and becomes what it was meant to be all along, a psychochomp, a guide for the soul. It is, as the text says, the animal within us, the primitive, the dark brother, the shadow, who is the guide who knows the way home. There is a strange and fascinating twist that appears in many fairy tales. After the helpful animal has guided the hero through his trials, it often makes a final shocking request. It instructs the hero to kill it. The hero must trust his animal instinct so wholly that he is willing to perform this act of apparent cruelty. Psychologically, this does not represent a destruction of the instinct, but a sacrifice. Once the instinct has been made, once its wisdom has been fully embraced, one must sacrifice the state of being possessed by the instinct. The goal is not to become a wild animal, regressing to a purely unconscious state. The goal is to
Labi,
return to the
jāskaidro.
animal on a higher level of
Nu, tā
consciousness,
stāv kā čurā,
integrating
ķipa.
its power without
Vīrietis.
being consumed by it. This is the move from being driven by instinct to being guided by it. This process is what the alchemist symbolized with the image of the green lion devouring the sun.
Paklusēt vajag vienalga.
It represents the necessary first stage of the great work, the nigredo, or the blackening. It is the confrontation with the raw, devouring instinctual shadow. But this terrifying conception is necessary for the later stages of purification and integration to occur. One must first be swallowed by the monster to be reborn as a true hero. Only through this difficult, often painful process can we move towards what Jung called individuation, the lifelong journey towards the wholeness. So, we return to that dream, to the dark forest and the sound of the approaching beast. We can see now that the dream of being chased by an animal is not a course, but a sacred invitation. It is a sign that a powerful and vital part of your soul has been left behind in the darkness, and it is now demanding to be brought into the light. It is a call to end the civil war within your soul. Your unconscious is not your enemy. The beasts that roam its landscapes are not there to torment you. They are the guardians of a treasure you have forgotten you possess. They are the age-old, unforgotten wisdom stored up in us. They are the messengers of the 2 million-year-old human who
Лагає
lives within
сказ.
each of us.
Тут
The dream is
ставка,
simply
чувак.
asking you to stop running from your own power, from your own hunger, from your own wisdom. The next time you find yourself fleeing in the night, remember this. The dream is not a threat, it is an opportunity. The solution is not to run faster, but to find the courage to stop them, to turn and to ask the question, what are you? What gift do you bring me? In doing so, you will not be met with annihilation, but with revelation. For you will discover that the face of the monster you have been playing is, in the end, your own. And in that moment of recognition, the nightmare ends, and the journey home truly begins. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche wrote, through the voice of his prophet Zarathustra, upon seeing his eagle and serpent, "They are mine animals," said Zarathustra, and rejoiced in his heart. The proudest animal under the sun, and the wisest animal under the sun. More dangerous have I found it among men than among animals. In dangerous paths go with Zarathustra, let mine animals lead me.